Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my wife and her friend anymore over what my wife calls a miscommunication? My wife Emily has a longtime friend Leslie who has recently become a single mother. Leslie does not have a working vehicle at the moment and is working 2 jobs. So Emily took it upon herself to help Leslie out as much as she can. Emily had started asking me to help as well in driving Leslie and her kids around, taking them to school/appointments, taking Leslie to the grocery store, etc. whenever Emily or someone else couldn't. I agreed, since it made my wife happy, and I understand the kind of situation Leslie is in. But helping has turned into Emily inviting Leslie and her kids over often, or organizing trips that they would like, such as camping or fishing. A few times my wife was unable to attend these get-togethers she organized due to work, and insisted they still take place, leaving me to entertain Leslie and her kids on my own. And since I've known of Leslie my entire relationship with my wife, I didn't think too much about this. The times that it has been me left with her, or sent in Emily's stead to shuttle Leslie around, have made normal small talk with her and her kids. Recently, Leslie's kids were going to be away for a weekend, so Emily wanted to have Leslie over for dinner and some movies. She asked me to text Leslie to ask her over, and when I did, Leslie replied with, "Just as friends, right? I'm not interested in being anyone's girlfriend." I thought that response was out of left field, so I asked her why I should even say that. And her response was pretty much, "No guy would be asking me and my kids how we're doing or helping me out unless he wanted something in return." I told Leslie it wasn't anything like that, and then showed my wife the conversation, and informed her I would be stepping back from helping her with anything involving Leslie, and to leave me out of any future plans. I also offered to show her the rest of my phone and anything else. Emily believed me, but she still talked to Leslie about it to see what had given her that impression, and accordingly, she gave Emily the same answer. A few days later, Leslie apologized to Emily and told her that her emotions and mine were just all over because of a down day. That's fine, but I'm still not willing to help her or my wife out anymore as I had been, because I don't want any repeats or accusations hurled at me when I was just helping as my wife asked. Emily thinks I'm overreacting and should just brush it off, because it was just a silly miscommunication she had on a bad day. Am I the a-hole? Additional info. The text I sent Leslie about the night was, "Emily wants to know if you'd like to come over for dinner and some movies on Saturday." That's why her response was so out of left field. I sent the text because Emily was busy on her phone and wanted to know ASAP so we could make our weekend plans. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Cringe friend. Could have gone a lot worse. Do not help her unless your wife is around. Ew, Leslie. Her mentality that men and women can't be friends without ulterior motive is disgustingly gross on its own, much less about the husband of her friend who had been helping her out. Not the a-hole. I noticed she didn't apologize to you. She accused you of trying to cheat on your wife. That is no small thing to overlook. Yes, this is huge. Not only did she imply that you would cheat on your wife, she straight up said in writing that you were courting her for more. Hell no. What if your wife didn't believe you that you weren't cheating and sending her those signals? That kind of thing can destroy your relationship. Nope, 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 nope. What happens if Leslie gets mad or has another down day and tells your wife you were inappropriate towards her? Nope, not the a-hole. I'd put a hard line in the sand on this. Edited to add, if I were your wife in this situation, I'd be the one shutting it down. Leslie could be unhinged. You don't know. You do know she's been accepting your help, fully believing that you wanted something in return. Nope. It only takes one accusation to ruin a man's life. Since this isn't your direct friend, stay away, just in case. Not the a-hole. Be safe. Justice doesn't care what sex you are. Buffalo Bills former punter is living through that right now. After watching that guy get dragged through the dirt all last year, that whole story is so gross and his life was ruined by an evil person. This type of nonsense is why many men won't coach kids' sports teams anymore. Too easy for someone to misinterpret their intentions. It's also why you'll rarely see men teach elementary. They can be completely above board, but still the rumor mill starts turning. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my grieving ex-mother-in-law not to move closer to her own granddaughter? My 40s female ex, 40s male left our daughter Zoe and I very abruptly 6 years ago and moved from the US to another country with his affair partner. His mom, my mother-in-law, was initially sympathetic, but when the affair partner got pregnant, she moved to their country to be closer to her grandchild. He and affair partner later got married and had another baby. It did felt like a betrayal at a time from Zoe's point of view. She lost her dad as well as her grandma. She would visit her dad on some school breaks and part of summer and see her grandma there. And we'd keep in contact via FaceTime, but it wasn't the same. However, by that point, I was marrying my second husband whose family adores Zoe, so that softened the blow, and we also moved to a different state. My ex passed away in 2021, which was devastating for all of us. Initially, mother-in-law stayed on to support her young grandsons and my ex's poor grieving wife. But without my ex there are some immigration/visa issues, so she's choosing to move back to the US. She called me and said that she had decided to move to our state to be closer to Zoe, who is now 12. She has no other connections here. I said we'll be happy to invite you to birthdays and maybe get together for Christmas Eve, but that our family is busy these days. And Zoe's about to enter her teenage years, so she should take that into account. She started talking about wanting to spend a lot more one-on-one time with my daughter. I said frankly that she had lost the right to demand one-on-one access years ago, and she should bear in mind that Zoe was ambivalent at best about her, and with her entering her teen years, that's probably wasn't going to change. Mother-in-law said she was grieving, and this was her late son's old daughter in her blood. I said she had all but abandoned Zoe, just as her son had, and she couldn't expect to just pick up where she'd left off, and that Zoe now had step-grandparents who played a part in her life that mother-in-law had effectively left vacant. I said she could move where she wanted, that was her choice, but don't count on this relationship. She was very upset and accused me of trying to erase her Zoe's father and paternal family to make room for a stepfather/stepfamily, and has said that I'm alienating her Zoe against her. For example, she's upset that I told Zoe in passing that she was having visa issues months ago because it interferes with her "I'm coming back just for you" narrative. And the truth is that I've always made sure Zoe's nice/civil, but even before my ex died, I haven't done much to encourage Zoe to deepen the relationship with her grandma. It was hard for her to visit her dad and see mother-in-law being her half-sibling's grandma. She also has complex feelings toward her half-siblings and stepmom. She knows mother-in-law is moving back, but I didn't tell her that mother-in-law wants to move here yet. As a parent, I don't know if it would be healthy for her, especially since I don't think mother-in-law can be trusted to stick around if she gets a better offer. But maybe it wasn't my place to tell her not to move. Not a-hole. Zoe's not an accessory that can be shoved to the back of the drawer and then pulled back out when grandma wants. Had ex-mother-in-law's son not died, she would never have contemplated moving back nor making any real effort to be closer to Zoe. Zoe is not her consolation prize now that her son has died, and visa issues mean she can't stay with a second family. Exactly what I was going to say, that if the ex hadn't died, then the mother-in-law wouldn't have made any effort to get close to Zoe, probably ever. I totally understand wanting to be close to what you have left of your son, but it doesn't mean you get a pass. Not the a-hole. You told her she could do what she wanted, but not to count on Zoe's mandatory attention. That's just setting a healthy expectation for a teen who might feel abandoned by her grandma. You could have said it more gently, but you have every reason to feel heated on your daughter's behalf too. At the end of the day, you're just setting expectations so mother-in-law can make the right decision for herself. Exactly. Grandma might not want to hear the kid's been hurt and still has some feelings about it all, but the alternative, meaning not telling her and letting her find out after the move, would do more damage. Letting her daughter know about the visa issues and protecting her from that emotional manipulation of "I moved back because I missed you" was right too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's an awful mom for using her savings to help her boyfriend? Before going to college, I asked my mom to help with tuition, and I'd find my own way for accommodation and general money. She said no, and that I should just work harder. Fine. So I got 2 jobs and managed to earn a scholarship in my second year. For my graduation, I had to pay for my own party because she said she wouldn't. When I got offered a job across the country, I asked her to assist me with just the first month's rent and I'd pay her back when I got paid. She said she couldn't, and I had to let the job go despite it literally being a golden turkey given to me on a silver plate. But whatever, I managed to get another job closer after 6 months of unemployment. All this time, she had a savings account with money she'd been saving and what my late stepdad left her. There's a lot of money in there, and it wouldn't have rendered her destitute to have helped me in at least one of these occasions. But it's her money, and I'm really not an entitled kid, which is why I never brought it up even though I've always known about the account and always let go after she said no. She used to say it's for her retirement, and I completely respected that. Now, she's been dating Dave for about 5 years, and recently Dave got into trouble with the law and needed bail money. A lot of money. 6 figures. And my mom paid it. Not only that, but she's going to pay for his lawyer too, all from the savings account. When I heard this, I got upset because what in the flying duck? She didn't even consider helping me out, but didn't waste a second hopping to the bank for her troublesome boyfriend? So I told her she was a crappy mom and unsupportive. Then we had a back and forth where she called me ungrateful and entitled. So am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You called it like it is. Like you said, you're not entitled to it. However, it doesn't make her any less of an a-hole for her choices. Exactly correct. The mom is a crappy mom. She wasn't willing to help her daughter's schooling or housing, and thus made her life hella difficult, but is willing to help her boyfriend deal with legal problems. And has the nerve to tell Opie she's ungrateful? Ungrateful for what? That you did the frigging bare minimum that's mandated by law? Get out of here. Not the a-hole. And frankly, I'd go low or no contact with the mom over this betrayal. Opie was shown she is not, nor ever was, a priority for her mom. Why stick around when you aren't valued? I'll never understand parents like this. I couldn't imagine putting a love interest over my kid this way. Not the a-hole. It's going to be glorious when you can tell her I told you so smugly, when she realizes she wasted all her money on that flea bag. Even more so down the road when she inevitably comes to you with her handout. Tell her she should have just worked harder and she'll need to get a job if she needs money that badly. Not the a-hole. I firmly believe that when you have a child, you are financially tied to that person for life, not just until they turn 18. It would be one thing if your mom was actually saving that money for retirement, but she's made it that clear she wasn't. She was saving it for some deadbeat loser who allegedly did something so awful his bail was into 6 figures. You're not entitled for asking for help from your mom. Your mom is the a-hole for repeatedly refusing to help her child with very reasonable expenses and then turning around and throwing it away for some guy. Might be time to distance yourself from this person who has failed you time and time again and clearly does not have your best interest at heart. You'll probably hear from her again when she needs money for a nursing home, and then it'll be your turn to tell her she should have worked harder and that she sounds entitled. No, you are not the a-hole. Your mother's a huge one though. I totally understand saving for retirement. That makes sense. Spending money on a deadbeat boyfriend for his bail and attorney? No, that's what makes her a huge a-hole. Opie, you sound smart and capable. Your mother has issues apparently, by putting her terrible boyfriend ahead of her daughter's education. I'm speechless. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to feed my sister-in-law after she gave her food to her dogs? My husband and I threw a barbecue on Saturday for the whole family. Mother-in-law, father-in-law, 2 sister-in-laws, 4 brother-in-laws, all their kids, my parents, and a few cousins. It was a large gathering. Both sister-in-law and brother-in-law brought their dogs, 3 total. I didn't really want the dogs here, but at the same time, I kind of just sucked it up because we were going to be outdoors anyways. Sister-in-law's dogs are extremely high energy and food-driven. One's a giant Rottie, and the other is some sort of Russian Chihuahua. I think that's what she said. So a small lap dog. Brother-in-law's dog is fine. Black Labrador. He is old and just kind of lays around looking for pettings. So we start dishing out plates or whatever, and my sister-in-law is just waiting and staring at us but not saying anything. When we get everyone's food, she goes, where's their food? And points down at her 2 dogs who were standing by the grill begging. I told her that I'm not feeding her dogs food that cost me over $300. I purchased this food on my dime. And I'm not going to see it go to a dog when other people could want more food. She said something to the effect of, well, what the hell are they supposed to eat then? They eat with us for every meal. And now they're just going to be sitting here thinking they did something wrong because you won't feed them. So I responded with all due respect, that is not my problem. You should have figured something out instead of expecting us to feed your dog steaks and burgers. Anyways, she ended up putting her food on the ground for her dogs and sat with her arms crossed the whole time, glaring at everyone around her while they were eating, saying, that sure looks yummy. Good thing the rest of the family gets to eat. My husband kept coming up and saying, just gave her a plate, hun. She's causing drama. But I refused. She gave her plate to her dogs, who shouldn't have been fed the food I purchased anyhow, because I clearly said no already. And I'm not going to give in to the entitlement when she didn't do anything to contribute. If I allowed her to walk all over us this time, then it would happen over and over in the future. Mother-in-law and father-in-law are on my side, as apparently she pulls the same nonsense at their house. But everyone else thinks I'm an a-hole for not feeding her after she gave her plate to her dogs. Not a-hole. If you ever have a barbecue again, please have some dog kibble on hand. So that after she gives her dogs your nice barbecue, you can pour her a bowl of kibble and tell her to eat up. This is the best piece of advice I have ever read on Reddit. LMAO. Good job, sir. Not a-hole. This does sound like entitlement. Actually, it just about screams entitlement. You and your family should do that every time sister-in-law pulls this crap. Did brother-in-law manage his dog's food? If so, sister-in-law could really learn a thing or two from him. Jeez. Yep, brother-in-law brought his dog a can of wet food to eat while everyone else was eating. Good on brother-in-law for being responsible. I literally do not understand why sister-in-law isn't embarrassed. Narcissists don't get embarrassed. Not a-hole. This is truly unhinged. She's not even good to her dogs, as this is very unhealthy for them. This, you cannot feed your dogs whatever human food is being served. Not a-hole. Exactly. And if the dogs are used to being fed at the same time, feed them their dog food. It's what I do. Before I sit down to eat, I just feed my dog his food. And if I have any veggies or meat, he can have it. Goes into his bowl after I eat. Dogs can get all sorts of issues from eating seasoned meats.